Welcome to a Careers in the Curriculum video with Pathway CTM. Today's subject that we're looking at is maths. We're going to touch a little bit upon physics as well. You'll understand why when you meet my volunteer, who is from a company called Thales, and we'll get him to explain what Thales does. But this is another video to help students decide what they want to do in the future and show you a glimpse of how that subject can be used in a real world job. But to do that, I need volunteers, right? As you all know. And today's volunteer is Tom. So I'm going to say, Tom, welcome. Tell us your name, tell us who you work for, and tell us what you do for them, please.
Hi, so I'm Tom, and I'm a graduate engineer for Thales. That means that I go through 4 rotations within the business, and I get to see everything across the product lifecycle, from manufacturing to design and some of the requirements and engaging with the customer. So I'm currently doing mechanical engineering.
Brilliant. Thales, when you say manufacturing and then the mechanical engineering, what do Thales do? What do they make?
So Thales is a global technology company. We are in 4 major areas. So we're in aerospace, space, defense, and security. So some of the main things we do is air traffic control systems, but we're also doing communications for satellites. We're doing sonar for submarines, and we're behind some of the contactless technology with your bank cards, keeping banking information safe. So there's a complete whole range of stuff that we do, really.
Brilliant. Fantastic. So you said you're a graduate engineer and you're doing the 4 rotations. So I'm guessing that means that you've been to university and you've secured your graduate role. What did you study at university?
So I did mechanical engineering at university.
Okay, and now you're doing those 4 rotations. When you look at the 4 rotations you do over the course of your graduate role, there are 4 different areas. Why do you do that at Thales?
So it gives us a really good understanding of the business in general. There's a big emphasis on leadership and being able to lead teams, but also how everyone can be a leader in their own right in the work that they're doing, whether that's designing the next product or whether that's enabling other engineers to be able to succeed. So having that understanding, being able to visit different sites across the UK, being able to interact with different customers and different engineers within the company, both in the UK and worldwide. It's always useful to have that understanding of where everything comes from and how maybe we work differently in different areas.
Fantastic. So students, what I want you to think about whilst you watch this video, you're listening to Tom speak about his role. Studied mechanical engineering at university. That's not the subject we're talking about, but he's a graduate engineer at Thales, and in a company where he's doing those rotations and still gets to make a choice at the end of the 4 rotations, which one is best suited for him and which one he enjoys most. The reason why we highlight that for you students is so that you can maybe remove a bit of pressure. You don't need to know exactly now or even at university exactly what role you're going to do. We can think about that. You still think about that for the future, and there are always options. However, we are talking about maths and a little bit of physics today. So Tom, tell us, what level did you study maths up to?
So I took it up to A level. I did my A level in maths and physics as well. And then obviously with my degree, maths and physics played a big part in being able to do engineering.
Fantastic. It is kind of, as maths, you are math students watching this, you could be physics students watching this, you'll know how maths and physics work together, and especially within the engineering world. So tell us what excited you about maths and physics.
So I think I've always been a bit of a sci-fi nerd, and I'm just going to tick off the ones that everyone says, which is I loved Lego growing up as a kid, big fan of Star Wars, space in general. And you've got all that kind of typical, I don't know what you'd consider the typical engineer might be inspired by. But then again, there's a lot of the general just sort of problem solving, puzzles, and video games as well. I realize it all sort of leads into this typical problem solving mentality of if something's not working, I just feel like I want to fix it, or even if it's as simple as like a light bulb or something, my instinct is I want to know how to be able to fix that. And so that's sort of what led me down this path.
Interesting. That's cool to hear. So again, students, you might be watching this video with the same feelings and have the same hobbies and interests and thinking, what is it that I can do with this role? Through our maths videos and physics videos, you will have seen some of the different roles, and today we're meeting an engineer. So Tom, with the engineering and the rotations that you do, how does maths and physics relate to what you do now, and how much do you use maths and physics on a daily basis in your role?
So I think maths and physics obviously are essential to pretty much everything we do as, in creating products, in creating things that come out into the real world. They need to have that fundamental mathematical and physics backing behind it, because there's no point trying to make something if it's not going to work before before you've run the calculations. That said, I think there's also an element of creativity that goes in there as well, and especially it's important to understand the real underpinnings of the maths, so that I will admit that my mental maths is pretty terrible.
Okay.
However, now that obviously once you're into the industry, you have these tools to help you, calculators with programs on the computer. But actually understanding what's going on in the background is key to understanding what's going on. I can't just ask the computer, "Oh, do my job for me." It would be nice if it did,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, you've got to understand what's going on behind there. And maths and physics are those fundamental things that do describe what happens in the real world, even if it doesn't seem it on paper. Sometimes the magic of it is looking at on paper or on a screen of this is what should happen, and then when it actually happens, you're like, oh yeah, so they're onto something there.
Hey, that's cool. Okay, so you're an engineer, you use maths and physics on a daily basis. We know that you studied them up to A level. Couple of last questions I got for you is, did you know that engineering is what you wanted to get into, or did that evolve as the more you studied maths and physics? And then also the other question I've got for you is, considering maths and physics in the engineering that you do, are you allowed to tell us of anything cool or any cool projects that you've worked on at Thales that you've created, or is it all too top secret?
So the first thing is, no, I didn't really know what I wanted to be an engineer. It was massively evolving. I think as far as my subjects went, they were fairly even across the board. I didn't necessarily display a huge leaning towards one thing or the other, but I enjoyed the problem solving side of maths and physics. And I knew that by taking them, I'd have a lot of opportunities in the future that could follow down different paths. And to be honest, engineering again was that same idea of breadth, that I could work on lots of different products, lots of different topics. And it's a very flexible type of role that if you want to be more theoretical, you can be more theoretical. If you want to be very hands-on with a product, you've got the opportunity to be a lot more hands-on with the physical thing. So it was really something that came out of wanting to be not committed to a single industry, and just have a broad aspect of understanding. Then as far as that sort of leads into what I've worked on, and obviously can't give anything too top secret away, but just as in I would never have considered that I'd be working on things that go on submarines, and then within a year then be working on optical technology, so like night vision cameras and things like that. And then just even taken away from the product, some of the smaller things that you don't even realize that you'd have to do, such as making or 3D printing bits of tooling. So if someone's trying to put something together, let's say two parts are being glued together, but they're very complicated parts, so you just can't clamp them. Maybe you need some sort of jig that you can hold the parts together while the glue sets, and taking that from sort of seeing the problem, designing a solution to it, and then especially with 3D printing, which is a really cool technology nowadays, you can just see it being built up sort of in front of you, and then something that you thought of within a week is right there in front of you doing its job. So
that to me sounds absolutely cool, that you can identify a problem, realize that you need a new tool for it or a new product for it, design it, and then 3D print it, and hey presto, you've got it. Amazing. Brilliant.
yeah,
So
well,
Tom,
sorry, yeah, go
that's
on.
going to say, Tom, I mean, maths and engineering, math and physics to me has never been my area of subject. But for students thinking about what you could do with maths and physics, you had a bonus as physics thrown in there today. When you're watching this video and thinking about the future and what you could do, consider these options that you have, that you can go on to certain courses that will give you these rotations that will allow you to see those different areas. Tom, are you decided already on which one you're going to go into, or are you still making a decision based on your rotations?
Part of me wishes I knew, but I'm enjoying the ride. I've got definitely a plan for what I enjoy doing and where I want to go with my career. but I'm definitely just taking in as much as I can in every rotation that I go through, because I know that maybe the job that is the perfect job for me is just around the corner, because these technologies are always evolving. So it's a really exciting industry to be in.
Fantastic. Well, Tom, thank you very much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And students, what I will say is Thomas from Thales, you'll see his name appear on the screen and the name of the company, Thales. If you're interested in engineering, definitely take a look at Thales. They're a huge company, and they do some very exciting things. Actually, that's one last thing, Tom. What were you telling me earlier about with your rotations? You haven't just stayed in one place, have you?
No, so I am originally from Somerset in southwest England. That's where I grew up, did my education. However, I'm now based in Glasgow in Scotland, because with each of these rotations, it gives a chance to move around to different sites across the UK that make our different products. And we make products all across the UK. So we've got a load of major sites there that I can move around each year between. And we've also got sites around the world. So I know other graduates that have gone to France, and other countries just across the world with all these opportunities. So it really can take you all over.
Fantastic. So students, a lot of you have asked me, oh, with these multinational companies, can we move around the world with them and work in different locations? You've got your answer there. Even on a graduate role, you can move around those different locations. Well, there you go. Maths and physics and engineering. Tom, thank you so much for your time today. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks.